So today, we're diving into what our source material claims makes the Bible the single most influential book in all of human history. We're going to look past the famous stories and really get into its structure, how it was created, and the reasons it's managed to shape entire cultures and countless lives for thousands of years. To really get a feel for its impact, our source kicks off with this killer line from Victor Hugo. I mean, think about that. It's a huge claim, right? He's not just saying the book influenced the culture, he's saying it created it. That really sets the stage for what we're talking about here. And that cultural impact? It's matched by a truly mind-boggling reach. The Bible isn't just a bestseller. It is, quite literally, in a category all its own. It's been sold and distributed on a scale that just dwarfs every other book in history. This isn't just a religious text. It's a full-blown global phenomenon. Which, of course, brings us to the big question. What is it about this collection of ancient writings that gives it such incredible lasting power? Well, our source material points to a few core reasons. And the first one gets right to the heart of its claimed authority. Okay, so the first and most central claim from our source is that the Bible's authority doesn't actually come from its human authors. Instead, it's rooted in a divine origin. This belief, it's the foundation for pretty much everything else we're about to explore. And it all comes down to this one core concept, divine inspiration. This idea comes from a key verse, 2 Timothy 3:16, which says that all scripture is God-breathed. So what does that mean? Well, it means the book isn't presented as just a bunch of historical stories or nice moral tales. No, it's framed as a direct guide from God, for teaching, for course correcting, and ultimately for how to live your life. But, beyond its claimed divine origin, the way the Bible was actually put together is pretty remarkable all on its own. So let's ask the question, how did this book physically come to be? Just try to wrap your head around the sheer scale of this project. According to our source, the Bible was written over a period of 1,600 years by more than 40 different authors. We're talking kings, fishermen, prophets, scholars, you name it. It was written across 3 continents and in 3 different languages. And here's the kicker. The central claim is that despite all that incredible diversity, the book holds on to a single unified message from start to finish. And for a book that covers so much history, the Bible is actually surprisingly brief. Our source points out that some other sacred texts are said to be about 100 times its size. And this isn't seen as an accident. Its shorter length is presented as a key feature, something designed to make the book really accessible, something you can read and study over and over again. Just how accessible are we talking? Well, the source claims that it takes about 72 hours to read the entire Bible, cover to cover. That compactness is seen as absolutely crucial to its ability to really sink in and impact a reader's life. So, how is this library of books actually organized? Well, it's split into 2 main parts, the Old Testament and the New Testament. We're going to start with the Old Testament, which makes up about 3/4 of the whole book and really sets the stage for everything that comes after. The Old Testament itself is broken down into 4 distinct sections. It starts with the law, then moves through history, poetry, and finally the prophets. Altogether, they tell this sweeping story, from the creation of the world all the way to a promise of future restoration. Let's just touch on each one real quick. First up is the law. These are the first 5 books. The source says the key event here is the covenant at Mount Sinai, which is where the nation of Israel was basically formed. So these books act as the nation's origin story and its founding constitution, laying out all the laws and principles for the people. Next up, you get the historical books. These 12 books cover about 900 years of Israel's history, telling the story of its monarchy. And it's a really dramatic story arc. It covers the nation's rise to power, its tragic split into 2 kingdoms, its conquest by other empires, and then, finally, its exile. The third section, poetry, is described as the confession of faith of the Israelite people. This is really where the book gets personal. It grapples with some of the deepest human questions, the meaning of suffering, the search for wisdom, the purpose of life, and just these raw expressions of worship and love. And finally, we have the prophets. These books were written during that tough period of Israel's decline and exile. The prophets were basically messengers who confronted the people about their failures, but also gave them a message of hope. They foretold that even though things were bad, God would one day restore the nation. Okay, so we've looked at its origin, its construction, and the whole structure of the Old Testament that lays the groundwork. Now let's circle back to that original question. Why does any of this matter? Well, the source wraps things up by focusing on the book's claimed power to transform people. So, the core argument from our source really boils down to this. First, that it stands as the world's most influential book. Second, that its whole purpose is its unique power to genuinely change human lives. And third, that this impact isn't random. It's unlocked through consistent, systematic reading. And that really leaves us with a final, fascinating question to chew on. Whether you see it as divinely inspired or as a purely human document, how does a collection of ancient writings, a story told across two testaments, get the power to shape entire civilizations and still influence billions of lives today? It's really a testament to the enduring power of story, law, and hope, all bound together in one single world-changing book.